Welcome to the TEFL Alumni Talk Series, a podcast where we feature graduates of the TEFL program teaching English as a foreign language at the American University of Armenia. My name is Irshat Madyarov. I'm a faculty member and chair of the TEFL program here at AUA. And today we're joined by Venera Melkonyan, graduate of 2016.
Yeah.
Welcome, Venera.
Thank you, Dr. Madyarov, and thank you for the invite.
Okay. So it's been almost 10 years since you graduated. Do you want to give us a quick update? What you've been up to?
Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Madyarov. It's been a very long journey since graduation, and throughout all this time, I've been involved in a number of teaching contexts. So I taught adult courses. I worked for a number of language centers. I had the chance to work at AUA Extension in Yeregnadzor, and also had courses with BSN, within BSN English program. And throughout all this time, I can admit that my main teaching position was at AEC After School program. So my first teacher training journey started in 2019. I joined a project organized by Ministry of Education and Teach for Armenia that helped us to develop mentorship skills for teacher inclusive education program. And later I was sent to work with different school teachers in Armenia and help them to develop inclusive education skills. And after training program, we had the classroom observations and feedback sessions and also lesson planning, and tried to focus on different needs of all the students that they have in the classroom. Later, I joined British Council Armenia, and I was teacher activity group facilitator there and online teacher activity platform facilitator as well. Currently, I work at Gazprom Education Sport Complex, and I'm an English language teacher there. And I am also a teacher trainer at British Council. We've started a new project called Safe Classroom, which is focused on social emotional learning. So we try to bring this important component into Armenian public schools and into Armenian classrooms, because this has been something that has been in for pretty long. I mean, teacher well-being, student well-being has been an important component in a lot of countries, but in our educational system, it's something new, and we try to bring in more awareness of that. So basically, that's it.
And recently, you received the first ever award for the Headway Scholarship Competition, organized by the Oxford University Press. Mm-hmm. And specifically from Armenia, you were the first ever recipient, my understanding of it is. And this must have been a major milestone in your professional career. Could you share with us your application process, if there's an opportunity for other teachers to apply? In general, what motivated you to go for this very high-level international competition?
Thank you for that question. Basically, it was last year, 2024, when I received that long-awaited email about being the recipient, one of the recipients of the scholarship. But the journey with Headway Scholarship started much, much longer. In 2017, right after pursuing my MA, I saw the announcement the first time, and I filled in the application form and I applied for the first time. And basically, it was the process that was pretty interesting for me in terms of the professional development, to design the lesson that they were asking for, and to work on the adaptation of material. And after 2017, I think I applied for 2 or 3 more times for the same scholarship. And somewhere there, I was still hoping that I will receive that long-awaited email, but that about being the recipient. But that was not basically basically the main goal. So the main goal for me was to see the requirements like of such a big organization as OUP is, and whether I am like capable enough, whether I have enough skills to be able to complete that form and meet all the kind of requirements that they were having in the application form, because the form was pretty long. It requested always having included like all the practical material that you would design. So for one of the applications, I remember I even filmed like short films of me teaching in the classroom, my students' engagement. So overall, it was kind of like the process that I waited for every year wherever there was call, and whenever there was call, I was just eagerly following all the steps that they were and the requirements they were asking for. And 2024 was not an exception. I hope that in the future the scholarship process will be still open for others, so they can also kind of get this kind of small motivation in them of trying, because as I've already mentioned, it was not my main goal was not the winning it, because I did understand that this is global and there are a lot of people who go for it. But basically it went for...
How many winners were there in the end?
Usually 5 or 6 winners. So when we met the Headway textbook authors, they mentioned that there were almost 300 applications. So basically...
It's a very tight competition.
Case.
Congratulations.
Yeah. But the process, thank you. The process was really interesting. I mean, in terms of meeting all the requirements, filling in, creating all the lessons and adaptation of the materials, the way they really like want you to do that. So because the guidelines were pretty like tough and straightforward.
We briefly talked before coming to this studio about the modifications. You said that one of the requirements for them was to submit some modifications of the Headway materials, and specifically for 2024, they asked you to modify the materials for the online delivery. And I know many of the teachers watching us probably are teaching English online. Mm-hmm. What modifications did you suggest that perhaps convinced them to include you?
Yeah, probably. It seems it was convincing. So I kept a lot of key factors the same in terms of lesson objectives, and also the objectives and the delivery, like the stages, things that must be no matter whether it's online or face-to-face classroom. But some things like delivery was a little bit suggested to be changed, so I included more of interactive material there. I remember designing a couple of online games that would substitute the material in the book. So instead of like looking at there was a quiz. So basically, instead of solving the quiz in the book, I created online game so they could play that. That was one
platform.
Yeah, on the platform. I did it on quizzes, basically.
Okay.
And that was one thing that I changed, and also. But one thing that I want to mention here that I also tried to focus on things that would be the same. So as I already mentioned, the objectives that are important, and also the staging of the lesson, no matter whether you're teaching online or face-to-face, these are the things that you always need to keep in mind. Knowing your students, like that was another thing that I focused on, the importance of having them.
Okay. So let's shift gears into one of your teaching jobs right now at EEC. And so the EEC After School English program here at AUA, actually it's housed within Extension unit administratively. how would you describe it to somebody who is not familiar with EC?
EC has been my main teaching context for over this 10 years. And as TEFL Alumni Talk series are very popular among our graduates and also future students who want to apply to TEFL program, graduates would definitely recall their practicums and internships at EC, particularly teaching at Armenian Argentinian school, where we used to have classes. And the newly graduates, I think the last 2 years, they would recall their classes at Nigerian Center. So I think whenever someone hears EC, they definitely have certain nostalgic feelings about TEFL in general and their degree and pursuing the degree, because classes at AUC were kind of integral parts for them. So EAC started in 2005 as a community service project for TEFL, for AUA staff and also the faculty, and only later it turned into a big project. And currently we have students, I won't afraid to say, from Armenia, not only Yerevan, because we do have a lot of students who come from Marzis, like from Armavich, so the ones that are close from Kotayk, we do also have students from there. And EC provides them with opportunity of getting high quality communicative language courses.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I'll add here, from the TEFL program perspective, as you mentioned nicely, Venera, in terms of this being, I want to say maybe a learning hub, a lab for the teachers, be they MA, TEFL student teachers or certificate in TEFL student teachers. Most of them really are placed within the EC after-school program for their practicum, which is shorter teaching experiences, fieldwork experiences, as well as teaching internships that are like full-blown teaching experiences. Not only teaching, they interact with parents, they come to, obviously, teacher meetings, as well as other experiences, such as, for example, they do a thesis, a research project, or they want to do a design project for their capstones. Right now I'm teaching a class and teaching English to young learners, so some of them are placed within EC again to do small little private tutoring to help some of the kids catch up with their classes. So there's a lot of traffic, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, happens within EC by our student teachers. So this question I wanted to explore with you, Venera, as a result, you as a teacher end up being observed a lot of times. Yeah, how do you feel about being observed?
Thank you for the question, and I'm observed and my colleagues at AEC are observed all the time. As you've mentioned, there are a number of reasons for those observations. First of all, the students that come, they whenever they enter the classroom, they have something that they are looking for in every observation they are doing. Let it be certain tips, like practical applications, or just the way that the lesson and the pace of the lesson goes. So they also have the research classes, research observations there. So we are pretty welcoming at AEC, so that every student, whether they need something, whether they are looking for something, they are able kind of to find in the classes that they are observing. When it comes to us, me being observed, it's a really interesting process that you kind of get used to over the period of time. Because I remember when I first started teaching, and whenever I got that email saying that, "Hi, Miss Venera, I am, I don't know, like a MA student or TEFL student, and I want to come and observe your class," there was like this kind of tension. After reading the email, okay, which class is it? Is it that well-behaved group? Or is it the group where I have that student? Okay. And basically these were the ideas, because the impression and having the impression on students and all the things, like they just come. But over the period of time, I got really used to that. And one tip that I always tell myself, one thing that I always tell myself is trying to keep it as natural as possible, not to fake it, just to think how would you teach the same class without having certain person observing your class. Because when you try to fake something or to think of the things that you would not do in your classroom if you did not have that observer there, things may go wrong and they may fail. I mean, the class may fail. So you just try to keep it natural and take it to a new level and basically teach your class the way that you would teach, no matter whether you have an observer or you don't have it. And the same refers to whether we have observation by students, pre-service teachers, or if we have observations on the part of our supervisors. And I think this is something that I always keep in mind. In fact, I love being observed because I have the chance to get certain feedback on things that I may not notice myself. So some small things related to classroom, to certain students, or I don't know, like my voice, pitch and pace. These are the things that, I mean, we may focus a lot on the content and the way we deliver it, but there are a lot of things that we may not notice. And having an observer in class is a great way of professional development and the opportunity to discuss the burning questions also you have in your mind.
It's wonderful. I'm thankful that you talk about observations. It's in the teaching profession, really, I think observation is an important tool in our toolbox of professional development. And the opportunity that you have being observed all the time seems like you have become not just comfortable, you look for opportunities, you're appreciative of observation opportunities. Have you done any of the self-observations? What I mean is like video recording yourselves and then watching, analyzing, reflecting on that. Is this something that you might consider suggesting to other teachers?
Yeah, I had the same idea in my mind when I was sharing the observations that I have by supervisors. That's something that I often do. Like I just set up the camera and whenever, especially I'm to conduct a new activity, so I really want to see the way I instruct my students, the steps that I give, and whether I use all the instruction check questions after conducting the activity. And I pretty often do that. I mean, I have that practice, and whenever I try out something new, I just go for video recording and seeing how things work in my teaching. So that's another pretty kind of useful tip that teachers can keep in their mind. It also helps with language, basically, for the novice teachers. Whenever they don't feel comfortable with language, this is a perfect tool, because when you teach, you have a lot of things in your mind. You have to consider your time management, your lesson stages, the students, different needs of the students, and you may not be that much focused on your language. And having such type of video recordings later help you to identify some errors or slips that you may have while teaching, and identifying and writing them down later can help you to focus on them and to avoid them.
All right. As a cooperating teacher, mentor for our master's students in TEFL or certificate students in TEFL, what is your role usually there, other than sometimes being observed?
Yeah, it's not only being observed, but also observing the classes. So for the practicum, whenever we have pre-service teachers, we have the chance of observing their classes and giving them feedback on the stages and overall how the class went. And we also, I mean, as you've mentioned, we have different purposes of observations. For example, for TA-ship, we may have students who would just have one activity to conduct, and they come prepared and they just ask our opinion.
Is it TA-ship, just to clarify for our audience? What is that?
TA-ship refers to, I mean, this is another course that they have. I think it's part of
probably English teaching practices.
Yes. It's part of
first year
English practice.
So it's teaching assistant.
It's teaching assistantship. So they come and they observe, but they may choose an activity or one to conduct. And very often these activities, they just come they come with some ideas on the spot, and they say, like the students, pre-service teachers, they say, like, we've thought of this type of activity. Will this work with this group? And at this point, you should be like super quick, because you need, first of all, to understand from the description of the students how he or she is going to conduct that activity with this certain group. What limitations may it have, and what adaptations does it need? So right away, you're just there to give certain suggestions, like you can conduct it, for example, in groups, or you have to prepare certain materials. I mean, you need to be super quick whenever it comes to work with different students and different classes that they have.
Okay. Given your experience as a mentor, cooperating teacher, what would be some of the fundamental, I would say, suggestions, advice to beginning English teachers? What is it that perhaps would really make major shift perhaps in the teaching practice if they had known this, in advance? What would you tell them?
Going back to the description of the process of helping students with their practices and practically applying different activities in the class, I want to mention an important thing here, that what is important throughout this process is how open the students are to the feedback and to the comments they get on the part of their supervisors and their teachers and people they work with in general. I think this is key in teaching, and for teachers who've just started their journey, they need to be a little bit open to comments. They don't have to accept all the comments and all the advice that they get, but they need to be open to see what are some things that they can change in this tips and apply them to their own teaching context. Because very often we don't see things that happen around us, and maybe we are really very excited about something that we do, but getting good feedback and comment and being able to apply that in your teaching can help. Another tip for teachers is being able to create welcoming environment for their students. I mean, it's good to be knowledgeable, but it's much better when you are open and you understand and you know your learners. Knowing your learners can be the key in any teaching. In one of my favorite TED Talks by Rita Pearson, there is the sentence that says that students don't learn from the people they don't love. And I agree with it so much, because students always remember all the positivity, all the energy, and all the fun that they have in their classes. They may not remember this or that text that they read or this or that rule, but the energy and the love that is in the classroom can be the key to success to any teacher.
It was a wonderful message, I think, as we come to the closure of this show. The quality of humbleness, perhaps, right, as we move forward in our profession, as well as the care and love that we share with the teacher, and the patience, all these, not talking about technical teaching skills, right, but the fundamental values, human values. Well, thank you, Venera, so much for the inspiring conversation.
Thank you for the invitation.
I want to wish you continued professional growth. I want to thank you for this wonderful work you're doing here in Armenia, helping other teachers, especially public school teachers, also grow professionally, and for being the teacher for many, many little
minds.
Children, little minds, yes, in Armenia, in different contexts. Please keep up the wonderful work you're doing. And thank you for staying with us. Stay tuned. If you like our content, please share it in social media among your friends, colleagues, and come back for the new episodes.